Hey guys, welcome back to Just Ask Alumni. I'm here with Gabriel and Matteo from Famuzi. Before we dive into today's episode, I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, who are Malta Food Agency, EUPA Solidarity Corps, and the Aġenzija Żgħażagħ Invest scheme. So today I have Matteo and Gabriel here from Famuzi, and basically today we're going to talk about niche marketing. So can any of you guys describe what niche marketing is?
So basically, marketing in general is all about the customer. It's all about understanding the audience you are trying to target with your product. It also revolves around the set of demographics like age, gender, financial status, etc., career, the type of person you would want to promote your product to. Now, when it comes to niche, it basically refers to a specific set. So you won't just say this product is targeted for men. You would say it's targeted for middle-aged men who enjoy this type of product, etc., etc. In general, I think basically niche, some people when they hear the word niche, they think small. When in reality, niche means specific, which is a lot more different than small. Because small, you are giving the idea that your audience is very limited. But niche, it just means it's specific. You know your audience well, that you are able to speak in their own language.
I love that. I love that definition of niche marketing, because when I was learning what it is, Google makes it sound so much more difficult than it actually is. So you guys have you guys took part in company program of this year, and you guys created Famuzi. Can you guys give us just a short intro of what you guys created and how it works?
Okay, so practically Famuzi is a card game where we got local personalities, gave them traits according to what they do, and practically they have to battle each other in the game. We also added the twist of the ability cards, where, for example, the two pastizzi gave an increase in strength, or Scandalo Nazzjonali changed the course of the game, where the lowest stat wins instead of the highest.
And can you explain why it's such a unique card game, especially for Malta?
I mean, it's a unique card game because we first looked at what exists. For the first card game that comes to mind is Cartable Bite, and it's more related to an older audience. So I wanted to create something more family friendly. Maybe it could be a gift for Christmas, for example. And practically, yes, we decided that it could be funny. For example, there would be J. Patrick versus Lavalette. You wouldn't think of it.
But there are combinations where in theory you would not imagine it.
And coupled with the ability cards, it would become even more comedic
And obviously you guys came up, so you got Cartable Bite, you found a way to make it a bit more family friendly and to change the demographic as well of that original card game. And how you came about the idea of battling Maltese personalities. So obviously that's very
common.
In Malta technically it is common, but in general the idea wasn't thought of. Cartable Bite is still something very different, so you still created the idea of a new card game. How did you guys make the association? Cartable Bite was, from what I'm understanding, kind of your inspiration point. How did you find a way to twist it around and create the game, because the cards, the special cards that you were mentioning, they're things that you wouldn't really think of very easily, especially if Cartable Bite was the inspo kind of.
So practically, actually, it was around September. We came to a think tank hosted by the alumni. And we had an older friend who already participated in the company program, and he used to tell us about it, and we wanted to participate in it. And we sort of always wanted to lean towards a game when it comes to the product. First, like I mentioned, we thought about Cartable Bite. Cluedo, we thought it would be a good fit with a Maltese twist. but we realized that it would be best to be a card game. And we were like joking around and said top trumps, we'll just do top trumps. And they were like, wait, it's not a bad idea. We were originally between personalities and localities. But then we thought personalities would be more fun and we could use the ability cards. They would make more sense coupled with the...
And also the personalities, you have a bit more to build on as well eventually.
Yes, obviously.
Because for Malta, the localities are a bit limited. Not actually, we're in like America or something. So basically, if you had to... your thought process, what would you have, if you had to tell me exactly what your niche is? So that everyone at home can actually understand to a T.
So our niche, it's basically the first type of demographic is Maltese people. Our product is entirely Maltese, so the rules, the cards of the characters, the ability cards, everything is entirely in Maltese. Even the way we marketed it on social media, every post we posted. And one thing that is very unique for our product is the idea of expansion packs. So if you think about a Maltese themed card game, the idea within itself, it's not very niche, right? But each individual expansion pack that we could make within itself would the expansion pack would be the niche. So for example, if we made an expansion pack about Maltese people who participated in the Eurovision, so that way our niche for that specific expansion pack would be people who are interested in music and Eurovision and singing. If we made one for athletes like Neela Juz, like Yasmin Zamit Stevens, then our niche would be people interested in sport. But the entire deck within itself is able to combine those different niches to create one experience that allows different people with different interests, with different demographics to be able to share a single game.
It's very interesting how you guys got one niche and then managed to build like 5 other niches within that one.
Exactly, so it's basically the idea within itself, the concept is very scalable, it's very, the concept isn't niche, it's the different methods we could use that concept to target different niches.
Now this was quite it's an interesting idea. So probably when you guys first initially thought of it back in September, you had the idea, but then you had to keep on building up on it. Out of curiosity, what were the first reviews you got over the idea and what comments were you receiving from maybe mentors and people in your family?
So one of the other games which inspired Famuzi is Top Trumps. So most people know about the game. Top Trumps does the same concept with Famuzi, so different Top Trumps for cars, Top Trumps for football players, so it explores different niches. And our original idea when we told people, when we told students in our schools that we wanted to create a version of Top Trumps which we all played when we were younger, like on the bus to school or in between lessons, sometimes even during the lessons. So don't tell them I said that. But when we told them, they were very interested because they had never seen a version of that game that we all loved. In Maltese, right, with people that all of us know, with Piazza Pardi, with Ira Losco, with Domingo Mintov. So the idea is so absurd and funny and hilarious, and yet it still relates to the Maltese culture, that it spiked a lot of interest and curiosity, and people were engaged from the start. And our mentor even told us that he knows some people that would eventually be part of the deck who would really enjoy the idea. Even when we are selecting the mentors, the different mentors all showed different attitudes, most of which were positive towards the idea of combining our culture with something hilarious and fun.
Did you get any not so positive feedback? Because obviously the idea probably wouldn't have sat right with everyone.
Yes, most definitely. So a lot of people thought that our product would basically would make fun of these people, right? So the card game within itself would imagine Piazza Pardi against La Vallette, right? And although the idea is to create that element of something which is hilarious and so unreal, initially our idea was not to make fun of them, but rather to make the deck so interesting that people could learn from those individuals. At the same time, they would be laughing, they would be having fun. So the idea was not to make fun of them, but rather to make light of them.
And
we want to bring them to our audiences.
And if I'm not mistaken, the card for each personality you guys have, there is a
fun fact.
There is
yes.
a fun fact about them.
Exactly, which then introduces the element of education and knowledge.
So when you were thinking of this idea, like when you were deciding, okay, we're gonna bring it to life, who are we going to target? How did you initially think of who to target?
So, as I mentioned, the students like ourselves, so people who are interested in card game. So obviously it's a card game, so we must target people who enjoy games, like, well, whether it's card games, whether it's board games. But then we also wanted to make our product so small and portable that we could sell wherever we practically wanted, and people wouldn't give us the excuse, oh, I can't carry it, maybe another time. So that would eliminate that excuse entirely. And we also initially wanted to target men. And yes, women do play card games, but after doing a lot of research and top trumps and other games, we noticed that men prefer that types of games. But when we were actually selling, we realized how incorrect we were, because people from different ages, even older people, okay, I'll buy this for my daughter. And we were like, your daughter? Like, people our age, boys, they usually are still interested in these games, but usually women resort to other types of ways
of
interesting.
Not usually card games
exactly.
that they play.
So it was very interesting. And then when we said, okay, so we must expand our niche, so we can target both genders, we can target people with different interests, we can target older people who would then use this to gift it to their children, for example. So in reality, the demographics were always changing, right? Our initial demographics were people aged between 15 to 18, so like ourselves, and people who would enjoy culture, people who knew these personalities from social media, from television, from the news, and they would enjoy having to be able to use that card to their own, like being able to play a game using these personalities, right?
I
So
think
it's
the
something.
fact that it's a specifically Maltese card game and you have the Maltese personalities and all of these things, kind of age, it makes sense. Now that you explain it, it makes sense that it's not only the younger people as well, since you have older and many personalities who have walked the earth long ago. Probably it makes sense as well for the older demographic, for example, because it kind of brings them back as well. So when you realized that you were initially not incorrect, but you kind of downsized the age, how did you guys deal with that? How did you deal with the fact that you could realize that you could expand a bit more?
So the cards within itself, we didn't want to limit the audience to people aged to teens, right? So that's why we have personalities who were popular maybe a few years ago, so that older generations could relate to these individuals, younger people could relate, for example, Kion of Love Island. If you ask your grandma, she's not going to know who, but she will know who Dunkarm Saila is, right? So that's the element of connecting different people with different ages through these characters that you can play with, right? So that's the reason why the different characters are from different time periods, are from different categories. Some are singers, some like Ida Mikoli, who were in the news, so your parents maybe and my parents remember them from the news, and Ira Losko, who is maybe known to both generations. So within itself, the idea already reaches these different age groups. And then when we are thinking on creating expansion packs, which we have not yet created, we were also thinking on creating maybe expansion packs for the different age groups, or maybe an expansion pack for historical icons who everyone knows and can relate to. Right, so there's that always the ability to reach the different age groups and connect them together through a single card game.
So we're mentioning many different ages. So we mentioned we're targeting teens, we're targeting older people, like even our grandparents kind of age. Since there is such a gap in the ages, how did you market it to the different kind of ages? Because obviously Instagram would work for a 15-year-old, but I don't think our grandparents would function on Instagram.
You would be surprised.
Mine don't.
I mean, like you mentioned, obviously, to reach the teenagers, we mainly used Instagram, TikTok. I mean, for older generations, maybe like our parents, we used more Facebook because they seem to be more adapted to it. And in regards to maybe even older generations, like our grandparents, mainly the word of mouth worked pretty well in our case because, for example, we sold on our soiree and an old person came and bought a pack and was like, oh, these remind me, I used to play them, the motorcycle version, when I was younger. And we told him, yes, there are many expansions like where you can adapt from. And he told us, I'll go tell my friends. This seems they would enjoy it very much as well, we think.
And it also helps, these kinds of things help a lot with kind of, obviously you do this company program because you're still learning. So it obviously offers a really good first-hand platform kind of to learn about how the different age groups, for example, you need to market for them, how like word of mouth probably, it would work for people our age, but if you see things are more eye-catching on Instagram or on TikTok, but then for older people it won't work. Sometimes even Facebook for people as old as our grandparents, for example, would be. But it's honestly a very interesting game, and now we will go for a short break. Okay, so we're back from our break, and now we're going to play a little game with Gabriel and Matteo. So basically the way the game is going to be played is I'm going to mention a word, and they're each going to take turns to say the first word that pops up in their minds when I say the specific word. Okay, so ready to blend. So, network.
Fire.
Risk.
Assessment.
Success.
Failure.
Failure.
Me.
Innovation.
Innovation.
Growth.
Spirit.
Team.
Building.
Vision.
Marvel.
Okay, challenge.
Fail.
Opportunity.
Non-existent, I don't know.
Money.
Broke.
Yeah, okay, I feel you. Dream.
Nightmare.
Mentor.
Body.
Hustle.
Money, I don't know.
Idea.
Innovation.
Future.
Success.
Power.
Money.
Creative.
Mind.
Stress.
Psychology.
Win.
Loss.
Travel.
England.
Connection.
Facebook.
Passion.
Passion fruit.
Learning.
School.
Balance.
Miyagi-Do.
Goal.
Football.
Leader.
Matthew.
Impact.
Sorry.
Impact.
Global warming.
Motivation.
Discipline.
And finally, entrepreneur.
JA.
Wow, that is wonderful, eh? Okay, so we had a couple of very interesting answers and some references from shows. Stress equals psychology, apparently.
Module 5.
Okay, so that ends our game. We kind of got to know them a bit more like that. And now we're going to continue to the rest of the podcast and discussion. So, earlier we were speaking about company program and your product and how you guys used niche marketing and collaborated that with your product. Now, this year in company program there were a lot of teams. How did you guys position your product and your team in a way that you stood out from the other teams?
Basically, the first thing, like in the beginning of the program, that I told them, our team, as in, the most important thing is the product. Everything revolves around it. So if we have a cool product, it's very innovative, it's very fun and cool, people are gonna talk about it, it's gonna catch their eye. Whilst that if you have the best marketing, the best branding, the best everything, but your product is not that good, it won't work out in the end. We also, our card game is, it has red, which is very eye-catching. If you can see it from far away, and our branding was quite well, our marketing was done very well, so it was easy to associate certain things with our product. For example, the fire, we tried to include it everywhere we could in the presentations, in our team shots, we tried to include it, so there will always be a brand to which we can associate with.
And obviously like that it helps keep everything constant, and no matter what you do, like for example titfaw story and it has a fire, you kind of keep putting up the image in people's heads that when they see fire they think of Famuzi.
Yes, exactly. From the beginning, from the meet the team till the finals presentation, we use the same colors, we use the fire, which, like I said, helped a lot. And practically, yes, so it would be easy to, as soon as say the fire, Famuzi.
And out of all of the icons and different things that you could have chosen to put on the cover of the card, why fire? Why specifically fire?
I mean, it could represent the heated element of the battle between the different personalities, and basically, yes, the heated competition that could arise even between friends who are playing, the twists and turns. That's the idea behind it.
And how do you, so the packaging obviously plays a big part into it. How did you feel that the fire, the constant popping up of the fire and the red, how did you feel that it affected the niche aspect of all of your marketing?
So apart from what Matteo mentioned, which is the fire and the red and the same theme and fonts and etc., we also used the way we marketed our posts, especially on social media. We used humor as a way of allowing our audience to they connect with us, right? So regardless of, as I mentioned previously, the demographics, they could still relate to us through the humor we used, which also referred to the Maltese culture. For example, in one particular post where we were trying to inform the people that we were going to sell during the carnival, we made a funny and intelligent reference to the Maltese song about carnival, but tailoring it to the product. Or in another post where we were doing the countdown to the reveal of the product, we put a post of Pepe Zoppardi and we wrote Inkunu ma'kom fis-sala wara reklami, which is something Pepe would say. So we use that element of Maltese culture to connect with our audience, to connect with the idea that our main objective was to create a bridge between culture and the people of the Maltese society.
Now, speaking of, you mentioned humor. You guys had quite an interesting final speech. Now, for people who don't know, can you explain the concept of your final speech?
So practically, the pitch is around 5 minutes long. And we said, okay, the first thing we want to do is stand out. There were 3 finalists before us, I think, or 2. And we said it might get quite boring and repetitive, so we wanted to stand out. And we decided to dress up as characters. Everyone on stage was dressed up according to a character. I was Pepe Zoppardi and Gabriel was Lavalette. And practically we made sort of as if they were battling out in the cards.
And how do you think that, like in terms of the judges, how do you think that affected them? Do you think that the impact was made?
I think an impact was made. Probably not a good one.
I wouldn't say not a good one.
We stood out for sure, and people loved it, but I don't think it was the mostly appropriate for that evening.
Considering your card game, personally, I think it was very appropriate. Even the fact that you guys took the costumes and the wigs and everything so seriously, so...
Yes, it took a lot of preparation.
What went into the preparation of it? Because you didn't just kind of stand up on stage and speak. You were acting out and...
No, it started all when we received the message we were finalists, and we started planning that on that day. We already spoke with each other and said if we made it to the finals, we wanted to dress up as the characters. So the plan was already there. We just needed to see who we dress up as, the script obviously, and basically time management, so we'd have time to speak about the business itself. So we practically, every night until the finals, the first 3 days we created the scripts, bought the costumes online. We had to even deliver them using Express, so because it was a week before. And we practically created the script. We used to meet in breaks to practice. And yes, practically until the finals night, every day drilling until we got it right.
And the actual presentation, the actual pitch, you guys managed to find a good balance between explaining. You didn't just explain what your card game was through words, you acted it out as well. So how did you guys come up with the idea to actually kind of not just stand up and speak about what you guys do, you actually showed everyone what you were doing? How did you come up with the kind of core idea of that? Because it's interesting and we don't see it a lot.
Yeah, so we didn't want to just explain, we want to actually show it. And we wanted to show it in a way that it would be remembered. So for example, if they saw La Vallette versus Duncarm, they would remember it.
So we mentioned people, like for example, Pepe Azzopardi, I believe you mentioned Nila Juice and Yasmin Zamit Stevens, for example. Did you guys manage to, for example, do any collaborations, or did you guys get any shout-outs, for example, from any of the personalities?
Yes, during the whole company program, we obviously asked them for their consent and if they would accept being in the game. And they were really helpful, like really amazing how well they worked with us. We used to message them and we even met up with them, gave them a free deck, asked them to sign ours,
Okay.
took pictures, posted them on our social media. They were really helpful. We planned that during the final marketplace, they would actually surprise us.
So obviously, so at the beginning you guys mentioned that some people would have thought that the card game would have been a bit questionable in the sense that you might come off as making fun of the personalities. I'm assuming that this collaboration and them signing your decks, surprising you, resharing to their stories, I'm assuming it obviously helped clear up the air that it's not there to make fun of them. And I'm assuming it also helped with things like marketing for you guys and with sales and stuff. Do you think that it actually did make a difference?
So regarding the idea of making fun of the individuals, we too had the same fear that people would like give us consent, and then when they would see the actual product, they would be like, oh no, this isn't what I signed up for, right? But when we actually met with them, I remember when we went to the 89.7 Bay offices, and me and my other friend in the team, we met Jamie, Terran and Miguel, and I remember they were laughing hysterically. I remember Miguel looked at the card of Island Montezin and he said, look at Miss Abiha. So like they really took it very lightheartedly, and I remember laughing, and it was a very great moment. When, for example, another person in our team met Angie Laus, she too really enjoyed the product, and we also put up, she shared our own story. And yeah, so some people doubt or think that people are they're too serious and don't take a joke, even though we're not trying to joke about them.
I think when you become a multi-celebrity, you start questioning if someone's laughing at you because they're laughing at you or because they're finding it genuinely funny. So this obviously helped clear the air.
Yes, exactly.
So meeting up with the personalities, meeting up with the celebrities and these kinds of things, they helped a lot. Were there any things in terms of niche marketing which you could have done differently, or you kind of tried it out and realized that it wasn't a good direction to go in?
So I think something that we could have done that we failed to do was target our niche more frequently. So in general, our idea was to try and target everyone. And I think although that might be good, that might seem good, you're trying to target everyone, if you don't truly understand that specific type of person who would genuinely be interested in the product, you can't target that person. I think that if you try to target everyone, you connect with no one. If you want to connect with the person who will actually buy the product, you must choose that sliver of people that would actually be interested, that niche, and focus on them specifically by using the type of humor they would understand and connect with, using the type of platform they would make use of more. And in general, I think we should have, as the marketing manager, I think I should have focused more on our niche rather than a general audience.
So speaking of all of this, first of all, I love if you try to connect with everyone you want, you end up connecting with no one. I love that. I'm studying marketing as well, so I relate to you. So from all of that, if you had to give advice to someone who is trying to learn more about niche marketing, both like for example in terms of studies and also in terms of them trying to actually carry out with niche marketing for their own companies, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give is know your audience well and try to connect with them as much as you can. I mean, if for example we engage mostly with teens and with people who played card games, we knew that Famuzi would suit well for them. So practically we tailored everything to their liking. And obviously, once we fulfilled that role, then possibly yes, you could branch out into different areas. But as long as you primarily focus on the main niche, then you'd probably be doing well.
Okay, so that's some good, just in case anyone's thinking about going into niche marketing.
Write that down.
Exactly, get out your notepads, guys. So thank you very much, guys. It was honestly a pleasure speaking to you guys about your product. I loved the idea of your product, and honestly, your pitch was one of my favorites. So thank you very much for joining. Basically, from this episode, we can learn a bit more about how niche marketing works and what doesn't, and how connecting to a small group of people is also really important. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who made it to the end of the video, and just a reminder to follow us on our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you.